Should everyone to be a parent? You rate yourself being a parent. That did you raise them well?
I am not perfect. I don't think there's any perfect parent, and my kids are not perfect. Authoritarian, very strict, very dictatorial,
Dictators. Yeah.
permissive, let the kids do whatever they want. The easiest way to set boundaries is when children are very small.
Are today's parents struggling more than ever? From navigating technology and the social media to dealing with the rising with the violence and the broken family dynamics. The parenting in today's world feel like an uphill battle. That's why on Gupshup Agyan, we are speaking with the Richard Ramos, a keynote speaker, author, and a global leader. In a family transformation, he is the founder of Parents on Mission, a program that equips the parents on to tackle modern challenges by building a stronger, healthier relationship with their children. With the decades of experience and the global recognitions from the White House and Congress, the Richard is the share practical insights to help parents reclaim their role as a leader in their homes. It's time to face these challenges heads on. Let's welcome Richard Ramos. The questions. So my first question is, should everyone to be a parent?
Should everyone want to be a parent?
Yeah.
Well, that's a that's a tough question. I think if you have it in your heart to love kids and you're going to make the commitment, because when you have children, it changes your life for sure. And it requires a commitment and priority of your time, priority of your decisions and choices you have to probably work and have other things going on. But once you have that child, then our priorities shift. So as long as we're willing to understand the commitment, the priorities of our time, and making the adjustments for our life so that that child has every opportunity to be all that they were meant to be and to reach their full potential. If we're willing to make that commitment, then I think it's fine.
Yeah, because I'm asking because the parents are being so much what did they say? They are so expecting to the children's that they can do better than the parents they have done throughout the life.
Yeah, and that's the hope, that all parents have. But I think that that's the reason that I wrote my book, Parents on a Mission, and that I do what I do. Many people have told me, now there's a manual for parents,
Hmm.
and I do encourage people that are not parents to take the course, or if they can't take the course, to read the book, because it will definitely help them. And that's not me saying that. That's feedback that I've gotten from so many parents throughout the United States and in different countries where I've been. So that's why I've done it, because usually what ends up happening is that we're going to parent the way we've been parented, and
Correct.
and that can be good or not. And for me, in my life, for my example, there were a lot of things that I was raised by a single mother.
Hmm.
My father was an alcoholic, and I witnessed a lot of domestic violence and didn't have a real solid family. So, single mother. I grew up in Northeast Los Angeles, where there was a lot of violence and drugs and gangs and things like that. But because of my mom, I can give her credit for my brother, my sisters, and all of us that we are doing very well. But it's difficult. Those things happen in different lives. But I also noticed things that I did not do the way I was raised. So as long as we're open to grow and change, take the good that we learned from our parents and maybe change some other things that we feel that are more relevant for today's children.
Okay. So do you have kids?
I have five of my own. I have a blended family. We have eight children
Three children.
altogether. I
Wow.
have 11 grandchildren
Oh
and
my
one great grandchild and two more great grandchildren on the way. So, so we're very busy. And I've been a step parent almost my whole adult life. So a blended family of eight children. All of them are adults, and they're all on their own. but we have plenty of experience.
Wow. So being a parent, that how do you rate yourself being a parent? That what is the thought of your children for you? That did you raise them well?
Well, I like to think so. I mean, my children, I am not perfect. I don't think there's any perfect parent,
Right.
and my kids are not perfect. But in the big picture of things, they've been successful. They've gone to college and graduated from college, and they all have good jobs. Some of them are married, some not. But I think that we've done the best we can, and parenting never ends.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
there are different phases of parenting that I talk about in Parents on a Mission.
Hmm.
So right now I'm in what I call the coaching phase where my kids are grown and yet I still have influence in their life. They still listen to me. They come to me when they feel like they need to talk or need some counsel. And also they love hanging around with me and us having fun together.
Right. So as we being raised, that we called traditional parenting, and right now the Gen Z has become the parenting, right? That's we call the modern parenting. So what did you find the difference between the traditional and that the modern parenting?
Well, so traditional, I mean, I was born in 1954, so I
Okay.
was raised during the 50s and 60s and 70s, when I was young and did a lot of a lot of things that maybe I shouldn't have done. But there was a lot those that my mom was a very traditional type of parent.
Right.
I think since my generation of baby boomers and looking forward, I think we've made a lot of changes. Probably broke some of the traditions from at least in the United States, the way we were expected to raise kids in a certain way, and I think there was a lot of traditions that were broke just because it wasn't. Fitting the culture anymore. The culture had changed, school had changed, a lot of things changed, and I think parents need to be sensitive. So there's certain things, principles that you're going to keep. There are certain foundational principles like honesty,
Mm.
ethics, hard work, obedience to authority, getting along in social society, those kind of things.
Mm.
But there are other things that are more modern where parents need to be sensitive so that they can stay relevant with their children.
So being as your parents, can I say that it they are authentic or what I say authoritarian or that permissive parents? Because even the my parents sometimes I feel that they are become the authoritarian. So authoritarian means that they are just saying giving the order kind of thing, that this is the right way, that that is the only way that you have to follow. You have to respect the elders, that's it. There is no two-way communications kind of thing. So do you feel that it is still happening in today's kids also?
I think some are that way. I talk about the difference between authoritarian parents,
Mhm.
which is more of a dictator kind of
Right.
role. Just do what I say and don't ask any
Exactly.
questions.
Yeah.
That's it. But authoritative parenting is where you do have a culture in your home where you allow your kids to have a voice.
Hmm.
You want to hear the way they're feeling.
Hmm.
You give them a lot of nurture, but you also are building their character. You also have rules in the house that you want them to obey. But the difference is that you are earning their respect for your authority
Hmm.
versus demanding their respect for your authority. And then the other style of parenting is the permissive parent, where they just let the kids do whatever they want, anytime they want, whatever
Hmm.
they want to do. And that's going the other way a little bit too much. So authoritarian, very strict, very dictator,
Dictators. Yeah.
permissive, let the kids do whatever they want. I
Yeah.
don't advocate those two. I advocate in the middle, authoritative parenting, where you
Okay.
have the nurturing, the love, and the understanding and culture of dialogue, but you also have the authority to give your kids moral direction and teach them how to function in a family, respect authority, and function well out in society.
Yeah, because I right now that I found many things that parents are being right now permissive, as they have a lot of work to do, right, at a home, at office, and everywhere. So many times that they try to avoid the conflict between the children and the parents, so they are letting them go. Suppose the children are doing the lots of time screening time, right? So people are right now avoiding, okay, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. And not only that, children are going to resent that because every child inherently knows that they need boundaries.
Right.
They need somebody to love them and say, "Hey, don't do that. Don't go that way." And even if they don't listen, at least they know that somebody loves them and wants to protect them and watch out for them. But if you say to them, "No, do whatever you want," they interpret that as, "Well, then you don't care. You don't love me because you're not helping me become the best version of myself." And they inherently know that. They might not say that, but studies have shown, many studies show that children that are allowed to do whatever they want interpret that as my parents didn't love me enough to correct me and raise me to have respect for their authority.
Agree. So one of the parent asked me the same questions, that they are struggling to set the boundaries. So what are the strategies that you can give them so they can having set the boundaries for the children?
Well, that's a good question. And now that depends on the age of children.
Hmm.
The easiest way to set boundaries is when children are very small.
Right.
That's the time to do it. When they're very little and you set those boundaries and you work with them and nurture them and teach them to have self-respect,
Hmm.
respect for others, respect for authority, and you're that moral voice in their life.
Hmm.
And when you do that when they're young, it's going to be a lot easier when they get older. They're going to learn and respect you and
Hmm.
listen to your boundaries.
Hmm.
But if you have older children and you have not done that, then that's going to be a little tougher battle where now they're 13, 14, 15 years old, and all of a sudden you start trying to set boundaries that you never set before.
Hmm.
That's going to be a tough battle, but it's not impossible.
Hmm.
But that's going to require a lot of relationship, a lot of humility, a lot of listening and conversation to start to again earn that respect from your kids. That to let them know, listen, I'm not just trying to tell you what to do all of a
Right.
sudden.
Hmm.
I'm doing this because I care about you, I love you, and I want the best for you. And
Hmm.
so that's going to take a little bit more discussion and time. But the mistake is when parents start demanding it,
Hmm.
something that they didn't earn when children were small.
So can you just give at least two, three examples that what kind of the boundaries that we can set for the children?
Well, of course, when children are little, we're setting boundaries about the way they talk to us, the way
Okay.
they talk to each other,
Hmm.
how far they can go out when they're outside. Did they do their chores? When they start getting a little older, did you do your homework? Did you do your chores? Have you been behaving? Then you can have the privilege of whatever that might be, maybe going to their friend's house or playing a video game or doing, some kind of privilege, and they've earn those things. So
Hmm.
you're setting those boundaries based on their behavior. And then when they start getting a little older, you're starting to give them more freedom. But that more freedom is based on trust. They've earned your trust.
Hmm.
They came home on time. They went to school on time. They did the chores on time. And they've shown you, okay, you're getting older now. You want a little more freedom. And you give them a little bit more freedom. But the boundaries still are there. Let's say they're teenagers, you're going to set curfew boundaries. You're going to set, maybe what they're watching on the internet, the movies that they're watching,
Hmm.
how much time they're spending on the internet or on their phone. Those
Right.
kinds of boundaries are healthy boundaries. When you eat dinner together, sitting down at the table, no texting, no emailing, no phone calls, those kind of boundaries that just show kids, hey, there's a time for those things, but this is a family time, or this is work time, or this is we're doing chores right now, and that is not time for maybe, like I said, maybe internet or other games they want to play.
Hmm.
So those kind of boundaries are healthy boundaries. And the whole purpose of those boundaries is simply to teach children discipline and work ethic and the right time for the right activities that are to the benefit of everybody involved and not just the one person to themselves.
Exactly. I totally agree. But right now, as I found, and many parents also ask me to ask you that right now, the main problem with the toddlers right now is that giving phone or the laptop or the tablets, anything while eating. And the toddlers are taking more than 1 hour to finish that meal. So screen time already, obviously it increased, right? They are taking more than 1 hour to finish that meal. So what kind of advice that you can give to that parents, and how they can give the strategy to reduce the screen time?
Yeah, first of all, children need to understand that they're having a phone, internet, laptop, phone, it's a privilege.
Right.
That's not a right. They have a right to eat. They have a right to be clothed. They have a right to be sheltered. They have a right to be cared for. They don't have a right to be on a laptop for an hour or to even have a phone. So if a parent gives a child a phone or a laptop or access to the internet, they should make it clear, first of all, this is a privilege I'm giving you. And
Mhm.
here's the reason I'm giving you this privilege, because you've got good grades or, whatever it might be. So the child understands, oh, like this isn't right or free and do what I want with it. Oh, it's a privilege. So that's the first thing.
Hmm.
Then certainly there should be a monitoring of time and parents being very aware
Hmm.
of what are they doing when they're online. And I coach parents all the time about being aware of social media influencers, all the predators that are out there, and there's different apps that they can use to know what, to block certain things and have parental blockage where kids cannot access certain websites and things like that. But definitely there should be, in my opinion, parents should set pretty strict boundaries of how much time can a child be on their screen.
But many times, the toddlers are being so, they are so aggressive, right? While they are, sometimes they are neglecting to eat for the whole day. Suppose if we are not giving the screen time, they are not trying to eat anything. So that's why some mothers got emotional. So my baby did not eat for the whole day, so they are trying to give more screen time. So
No, no.
that is the main cause right now.
Well, they're being held hostage by their children, and they need to, really call like kind of call their bluff.
Yeah,
Like, that's unfair for a parent to allow their children to hold them hostage. I'm not going to eat unless you let me do this or let me do that. It's
right.
okay. All right. That don't eat, but you're also not going to be on your phone. Don't eat, but you're also not. Now, of course, you know we could get in a lot of, I don't know about where you're at, but in the United States, we get a lot of trouble if our kid went to the school and said, "Oh, my parent didn't let me eat." But that's not what we're doing.
Hmm.
This child is saying to us, "I don't want to eat."
Hmm.
Okay. So what I'm going to do in that case, I'm going to call their bluff and say, "Oh, you're not going to eat? Okay. But you're also not going to be on your phone, or you're also not going to be on the internet. So that's your choice, and let them choose what they're going to do. Other than that, if we don't do that, if we don't put our foot down, if we don't make a strong stand and call their bluff, then they're going to be in control. They're going to hold us hostage, and then we lose control, and that is very hard to get back.
I'm asking because it's happening to my house also. Sometimes being a parent, yeah. As a father, I'm being a strong, but as a mother, my wife,
Yeah.
she is making more liberal.
Yeah. Well, that's a marriage class. But I hear that. I hear that a lot when the parents need to come to an agreement.
Exactly, yeah. They are not coming on the same page. So many times that could be the very conflict. And so children also can be a confused that to whom I listen more. Because listen, mostly the children are listen those parents who are allowing to them whatever they want to do, right?
Yeah, that happens a lot. And again, that's where parents really need to come together on a separate conversation and understand what is best for our child. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be hard. We have to agree what is in the best interest of our child.
Hmm.
And the other thing too is parents, and again, this is not my opinion. This is proven by studies.
Right.
Parents who are permissive do not have the respect. Those kids will not respect them when they get older.
Hmm.
And that becomes a real problem because today it's I don't want to eat, I want to be on the phone. Tomorrow it's I want to go out and I'll come home when I want to. And
Hmm.
you're not going to tell me anything different. And that really becomes a problem. So the earlier we can win that battle, and I know that it
Hmm.
is a battle and it's not easy and it gets tough and sometimes you argue and that's just normal. You might argue with parents argue about it, but it's a good argument to have uh, because ultimately, if we don't set that boundary and earn that respect, it's going to be a real problem when they get old enough to just walk out the door.
Right. Right. There are another problems that I really found. The parents are really comparing their children to others. For example, let me give you the example. Suppose I'm going to uh, my daughter's gymnastic class. Okay, there are many children are coming. So parents are observing their child, their own child, as well as the other child, right? They are trying to comparing that. Oh, he is not doing well. Oh, he is not able to climb. Oh, he is not able to walk properly. Kind of things. So they are constantly comparing. And after they are coming home, that particular child did not able to walk properly, did not able to climb properly. So what do you suggest to that kind of parents?
I suggest to that parent to understand that you are diminishing the self-respect and self-esteem of that child.
Mm,
We don't want to compare our children to anybody else. What we want to do is celebrate their uniqueness. We
mm,
can say to that other child, look how he's good at this, she's good at that. They're, great at this or that. You're good at this, you're good at this, you're good at, and celebrate what their child excels at, whether it's gymnastics or football, or it doesn't have to be sports. It could be singing or music, and maybe for a little while they try gymnastics and that's not their thing,
mm,
so then we're going to try something else until we find what is your gift, what is your talent. And we don't have to compare with other people. If you're listening to this podcast and you're a parent, I would highly recommend that you do not compare your child even to their own siblings.
mm,
What you do is celebrate the uniqueness of every child and who they are, and then help them discover who they are and develop who they are.
mm.
And they don't need to be like anybody else.
But what about the parents? The parents is also comparing with that parenting, that I'm doing the better parenting than them.
Oh, well, that what benefit is that to uh our society? What benefit is that to the neighborhood? What benefit is that to our family? And it's certainly not a benefit to the children. And the other thing is this: maybe we should have a conversation with our child and
Mm,
ask them how they think
mm,
we're doing. And sometimes we're giving ourselves more credit, and the children are saying, Dad, no, Mom, no, you think so, but no, that's not true. And so sometimes parents need a wake-up call by just having a simple conversation. Now, the child's 5 or 6 years old, you can't have that. But if they're 10, 11 or older, you can ask them, how do you think we're doing? How do we think I'm doing?
mm.
But parents comparing their parenting to other parents, um, I'm not sure what the benefit of that is.
But that's a casual mind that people are thinking about.
Yeah. And the other thing is the fruit is going to be in our children.
Right.
If we're doing a good job, then the children will show that.
Right.
But if a parent's saying that they're such a great parent and their children are only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, 9 years old, it's not time to say that. We have to wait till they get a little older to really see the character that we've built in them.
Right, agree. So my next question is, what do you mean by gentle parenting?
I'm sorry, by what? What?
Gentle parenting. Do you think it
Gentle?
works? Yeah, gentle parenting works.
I think there's a time for nurturing. Is that what you mean by nurture,
Right.
gentle?
Yeah.
Gentle? Yeah.
Right.
Well, I talk about three different phases of parenting because studies show that when children reach the age of 12 to 15, that's when they usually start to kind of go off base.
Hmm.
So what I did was said, okay, if that's true, then what should be happening in the child from zero, infant to 2 years old, from 2 years old to 5 years old, and 5 years old to 12 years old?
Hmm.
So from the infancy to 2 years old, we are in a role of nurturing, gentleness,
Right.
singing,
Hmm.
talking to them, singing to them, holding them, hugging them, and giving them the message, you matter, you count, you're important.
Hmm.
Because a child's brain, studies show, begin to develop in the womb.
Hmm.
And their brain is already working. They're acclimated to their mother, to the voice of the father, even before they come out.
Hmm.
After they come out, that's a nurturing time. But at 2 years old, we know what happens. That's when then we come into the role of I call a trainer or a disciplinarian. That's when
Okay.
we start saying, hey, no, don't do that, don't go there, watch out, and we're don't spit at me, don't talk that way. They're 2, 3, 4 years old, they challenge us, so we're in a training role. And then from 5 to 12, that's what I call the coaching role, because now our children are in school, almost from 5, 6 years old all the way up to high school. Now we're not with them every day. So
Hmm.
we're like a parent or a coach on the sideline watching our children play in the game of life. But if we've nurtured them in that nurturing time, if we've been disciplining them in those years of 2, 4, 5, 6, those years,
Hmm.
when they get a little older and they're out there now with other people, now we're coaching them, having conversations. How did it go today? How's school? How's soccer? How are you doing? And we're coaching them. We never stop nurturing them.
Hmm.
We're going to stop disciplining them when they get when by the time they're, I don't know, whatever the age is,
Hmm.
that parents have to decide for themselves. So the gentleness is important all the time, but we also have to balance that with discipline and consequences
Hmm.
for actions that are not good. We have to have a good balance, but nurturing is always a good thing as long as it's balanced with uh, authority and discipline when it's called for.
Yeah. So being a coach, that you you met with many parents, right? So what are the general thing, or what are the things that parents are doing wrong that you found?
Well, the main thing we're not doing is parents are not growing emotionally. And
Okay.
that's a real problem.
Hmm.
We grow old automatically. I didn't
Hmm.
try to have gray hair. Good to, I
Yeah.
didn't try to lose my hair. Okay. And I didn't try to have a gray beard. It happened automatically. I used to have dark hair just like yours.
Yeah.
But the key is growing old is automatic, growing up is not.
Hmm.
And people think that the older they get, the wiser they get, and the more mature they get, but it's not true.
Hmm.
I've seen 35-year-old, 40-year-old parents with a 15-year-old mentality. And
Okay.
that's a problem
Hmm.
because when you have a 15-year-old mentality and now you have children
Hmm.
and they start getting 12, 13, 14 and acting out, now
Hmm.
you have a 15-year-old mind dealing with a 15-year-old mind, and
Hmm.
that just causes a lot of problems. So the main thing I see the parents are not doing is they're not working on themselves, their emotional maturity, their personal growth.
Hmm.
And then Parents on a Mission, in my book and in my course, that's the first thing we teach parents is how to grow yourself so that you're always growing. And this is a lifelong journey.
Hmm.
I'm still growing. I'm
Right.
always growing because when my kids act out, I want to deal with them from a place of maturity, not a place of immaturity.
Right. Agree. Even I believe that parenting is not about to raise the child. Is parenting is about to learn the parenting. that you have to learn every time, that you learn yourself and you have
Right.
to learn your child also. Okay,
Right.
so according to that, the next question is that how can I best support to my children to support social and emotional development?
Well, by being that role model in the home. I mean that is the best way. By in the I say this: the community does not build your family.
Mm,
Your family builds the community. And what
mm,
do I mean by that? Well, when I have my children with me, I'm teaching them, as I said, how to be respectful,
mm,
how to act right with other people, have to concern for your neighbors,
mm,
be kind, be willing to serve, be honest, have an integrity. And as I'm building that character,
mm,
I'm teaching them how. I'm supporting them when they go out in the world and socialize.
mm,
I'm supporting them because I built their character. Now, when they get involved in, sports or whatever they're involved in,
mm,
I'm going to be there. I'm going to show up and I'm going to show my children, as I said earlier, you are the priority of my life.
mm.
I'm here to invest in you, my time, my resources, to make sure that you live your full potential, and I'm going to support you. And we show them that by the actions, not just our words, but by our actions.
Action. Okay. I agree. And the children is also observing their parents, that how they are behaving themselves, right? How the
Yes,
husband is behaving that wife.
yes,
Sometimes the children is also observing them, how they are talking to each other.
yes.
Yeah,
All the time. The children are always observing.
exactly. Even I have the daughters. They says almost a 3 years old. So many times that when I talking to my wife, she's observing so much, and sometimes she's playing with the baby. She's talking the same sentence with the baby doll. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm thinking that they are observing.
Yes, they are. And we do. We need to watch the language that we use, the things that they're listening, even when we don't think they are. They're definitely observing, and that's why being a role model is very important. And one of the best things we can do for our children is to love our wife,
Hmm,
and for the wife to love and respect her husband, and for the husband to respect the wife, and for children to see parents speak to each other with respect, treat each other with love and respect, treat each other with honor. That's one of the best things we can do, because then they learn how to treat their brothers and their sisters.
correct.
And
Yeah.
that's another thing that we do when they start having siblings, is we help our children teach them to respect and love their siblings as well.
Hmm.
And that is learned from mom and dad.
Right. Now, as you're talking about the siblings, my next question is that does the parents require the second child in house? Because right now, as the economics grows and the peoples are not able to earn lots of things, right? So they are thinking about to having the one child only. So do you believe that they should have the second child? And if yes, then why?
Well, again, that's a personal decision. I mean, it's I can't really say that for anybody how many kids they should have. All I would say is, again, the same thing I said at the very beginning. If parents understand the commitment, and now you're going to have two children,
Mm,
so you understand the commitment that's going to take. You've had one child already. You've already saw how it changed your life. Now
mm,
you're going to have another one. And, as long as we're willing to just be committed, make them the priority of our life. And also, sometimes it's nice to have a brother or sister to play with,
right.
uh, if they're close in age. So again, that's a personal decision. But to me, parents who love each other, and want to have two, three kids, they know what they're getting into, and as long as they're willing to be committed to that, that's what's important.
Yeah, but many times found that the parents have the preferred child. You know what I mean, preferred child. As you have so many younger children in your home, do you have preferred child that you love most? in your house, or you love equally to them?
Well, I can say that I do not have a favorite child. I love them all the same, but I think that sometimes that does happen.
Mm,
And if it does happen, then I think the parent, you need to be careful with that because the other children will pick up on it and that can cause rivalry uh, within, the home, the daughter, the son. You love him more than me and he's your favorite. And, they start saying things like that. And if they start saying things like that and it's true, then we need to acknowledge it and start working a little harder to give the other child just as much love and attention um, because, being honest, sometimes parents do have their favorite.
right, exactly. That's why I'm asking.
That does happen.
Yeah. Okay. So another questions that asked by the parents that my child is constantly whining. What are the practical strategies that I can use to stop this behavior?
Yeah, one of the studies that was done by a doctor here in California,
Hmm.
he said that when parents allow their children to constantly whine and argue with them,
Hmm.
that causes them to develop bad brain habits, and
Okay.
it causes them to not develop fully the way they should. So parents should not give in to the whining because the moment we do, then again, we're giving up control. I know it's hard
Hmm.
when children are constantly whining, but to me, there needs to be consequences for that. What are those consequences? Well, that's a topic of discipline. Maybe we can talk about that next time.
Okay.
But for me, the whining and the arguing with parents is not acceptable,
Hmm.
and parents really need to bring consequences for that and not give in to it because then that just becomes a battle, an ongoing battle. And once you give into it, it's like I said, it's hard to get it back, to have
Right.
the respect for your authority,
Hmm.
hard to win it back.
Okay. Totally agree. Now, another questions that asked by the parents that my child is having a tantrum in a grocery store. What are the effective ways to de-escalate or for that situation?
In the grocery store,
Yeah, many times
yeah,
I want this one, I want this one, I want this one.
well, try very hard not to discipline them in public.
Okay.
Try very hard. I know sometimes it it
You mean to
it
set boundaries?
yeah. I mean, it's almost impossible, but sometimes, but it's better to remove them. If you're going to discipline them, it's better to take them out and go into the car, go to the bathroom or somewhere else. But try really hard when they're in the store not to discipline them. And then also the next time, warn them and say, listen, if you want to go to the store with me, which is a privilege,
Hmm,
then you're going to have to behave. Otherwise, you're not going.
hmm,
Maybe they can leave them at home with somebody else, or leave it with a family member or somebody else, and let that be a consequence. You're not going with me because last time, remember the way you were acting, and I don't want to go through that anymore. So
hmm.
until you show me you can act better at home, I'm not going to take you with me to the store. That's just one example of what a parent might try, but I would not discipline them in the store. That that usually doesn't, because you're shaming them and embarrassing them and
Exactly.
embarrassing yourself. It's embarrassing for both of you.
Exactly.
So it's better
Sometimes.
not to, but I understand if sometimes parents, they lose their cool. And that's why the emotional maturity is important
Right.
because it takes a lot of emotional maturity when your child's acting that way to stay calm and say, okay, let's go. And that's why personal growth is so important.
Right. Now, another questions that ask that many children have struggling to make friends. So, any practical tips that you have to give them?
Well, I think a lot of that comes down to their self-esteem. And as long as we as parents are coaching them and having self-confidence, liking themselves, not comparing them to other people, building up their self-esteem, reinforcing them and affirming what they're good at. Good son, thank you for being a good boy. Here's why I love when you do this or that. You had such a great game today. Whatever it is, constantly reaffirming them. That gives them the confidence to make friends. And some kids like myself, I was introverted, kind of a child, and so I understand that. But if we're building them up and constantly reinforcing what they're good at and telling them those kinds of things, and they'll have the confidence to be social and make friends.
Okay. Okay. Because I found when I going to the garden, the many children's, my daughter wants to play with their friends, but sometimes the parents are not allowing, or sometimes the kids are being too shy to play with them.
Yeah, well, if the parent, again, see that I the parent is not helping the child learn how to,
Exactly.
live in society, live in
Right.
the real world. If they don't allow them to interact with other children, that's a different problem.
Yeah. Sometimes the parents are left that place. Even that
Yeah,
happens. Yeah.
yeah, and that's that again, those are other problems. But again, I think it comes back to the emotional maturity level of the parent.
Right.
Um, so again, a lot of raising children has a lot to do with us, who we are. And sometimes if we're trying to live our life through our children,
Mm.
that's not a good idea, because then who are they?
Right.
They don't have an identity, and we need to build up their identity.
Right. Agree. Now, what are the simple ways to encourage children to eat healthy things? Sometimes they are very picky. Even my nephew, when he was a toddler, that he eats everything, vegetables and everything. But after he went to school, that he saw the other children, they ate pizzas and burgers and everything. Right now, he's very picky. He's not eating vegetables at all. He every time needs a garlic bread or the pizzas kind of thing.
Yeah, again, that could be a tough situation. And again, it comes down to from the time they're young.
Right.
And we're not asking you to eat it. This is what we're eating. We're not, what do you want? No, I've told parents, what I used to do with my kids, I wouldn't ask them what they wanted, because asking a 3-year-old what they want, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old what they want, they don't know what they want. Of
Mm.
course, they want the ice cream and
Right.
the junk food, fast
Mm.
food. But if we are teaching them good eating habits when they're young, not going to be a problem. But if we haven't done that,
Mm.
and now they're starting to eat, they don't want to eat vegetables, they don't want to eat healthy.
Mm.
Again, that's going to come down to practicing discipline, not giving in. It's a battle. I talk a lot about that in my book. How to win that battle, because it's not easy. But part of it, who's at fault for that,
Right.
really?
Right.
uh, and so parents have to take responsibility, um, and they've got to find some consequences or some way of saying, okay, let's have a compromise. Okay, I want you to eat a little bit of vegetables, and then you're going to have a little bit of what you want. Let's work together here. Something like that, but to just give in to, I don't want to eat that, I only want to eat this.
Mm.
If it's not healthy, um, that becomes a battle. And in the long run, I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
it won't help.
they have to think about how big a deal is it? Because when they get older, maybe they'll start to eat more healthy, so parents have to weigh, is that a battle I want? Is that a battlefield I want to be on,
Right.
right?
Mm.
There might be other things that are more important. So that's a tough one.
Yeah, right now even the India, that recently, that one little kid, it's around a 12 to 14 years old, and she got a heart attack while she is in a school.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was very, I don't know what could be the cause, but right now the eating habit could be a very problematic issue right now for all the kids, right?
Definitely. Definitely. Yes.
Even the one of the that survey has been done that they pick up the 100 students from the United States, UK, and the Japan. So the UK and the United States people, so they are observing that the peoples like the burgers and French fries and pizzas, and the Japan, that students like broccoli. So everyone got shocked that how can they love broccoli, and broccoli is the favorite one for them.
Well, that's it. This is a major problem in the United States right now.
Yeah,
And parents are being priced out of healthy food. To eat healthy in America is so expensive,
right.
very expensive. And poor families, that's what they can afford. The fast food, the hamburger, the French fries, the chips and sodas, all of those things are affordable, and that's sad. So it's a major problem. But again, it goes back to parents in the home. What are we doing in the home when our children are little? That's the key when they're little. Parents who have older kids and they're worried about it, as we talked about already, that's a tough battle. And we can talk about it next time, but it's better if we just help our kids understand why eating healthy is better than eating all the junk.